Hey there, and thanks everyone for your patience while we get ourselves sorted here. I'm here
We
with
got there.
we got there here with Anthony Richardson from Q83.
Hi, everybody.
Thanks for joining us. For those of you who are switching on, we're going to be here for about the next half an hour or so. We're going to run through a whole lot of information about some of the Instagram changes that have been happening lately, talk a little bit about influencers, the role of experts and influencers and the difference between them. Anthony's going to talk to us a lot about the importance of data transparency and why it is so important and how it impacts everything that they're doing at Q83. And really just, we can take some questions from the chat box if anybody has some. But I'm going to get Anthony to introduce himself and tell us a little bit about him and Q83.
Sure. So I'm founder MD of Q83. We are a technology platform. We provide tools to influencers and experts in creating media kits that are dynamic. So they're interactive and they're live. So traditionally you send a media kit to show your value to the brand or the agency. So we essentially do that, but once you build it, it's going to update every hour. So when you're referring to your metrics, your demographics, who your audience is, I think it's really important that they're correct for one, and they're current and they're complete. So it's really important that that's transparent.
And I can totally vouch for how good they are. And we'll get into a little bit of the detail later. For those of you who are tuning in, I'm Simone Landis. I'm the founder and director of the Lifestyle Suite. We call ourselves an experts agency. We're a talent agency that represents health and lifestyle experts. And we also create content, specifically health and lifestyle content for third parties. And Anthony and I have been working together now for about the last 4 months, 5 months or so.
Yeah, I'd say
Is
probably
that
about
it?
that. Yeah. It's a very small community though, isn't it? It's kind of like obviously my background is not marketing, is not influencers, but coming into this industry, it's just been really exciting because you always see these really cool people, and then then when we started working together, we kept seeing each other when we weren't planning to see each other. We're like, oh, you're at the same event as well.
That's right. Yeah.
It's very cool.
It is a small industry. I mean, I think when we first met, introduced to you, I think it was Tiff Farrington actually at Social Diary who introduced us, and I remember her saying to me, you need to meet because Anthony and his team are doing amazing things around data transparency, and Tiff has always known how important that is to me. We work with experts who happen to be influencers, and we'll go into a little bit more detail about that. But for us, transparency is key in everything that the people that we work with do. It's so important.
And exactly, especially for your talent, because they are experts. Like they're experts in that field. So, and obviously we'll touch on the requirement of how you can advertise certain products, and I guess the restrictions of that if you are an expert in a certain industry.
Definitely.
It's quite interesting.
It is. So I'm going to just take this back a step to kind of where we started.
Cool.
Let's talk a little bit about some of the changes that we're seeing across Instagram at the moment. So there's been a couple of things obviously over the last little while. The removal of the visibility of likes is one, and then
that was
huge. And then a week or two ago, there's obviously the introduction of what under 18s can see specifically within the health space. And they are all incredible things. What are some of the things that you're hearing from the influencers that you work with? How are those changes impacting them, do you think?
Well, the biggest one that we see is around the restrictions of likes. Now, they've only just restricted that, obviously, in a couple of test nations. Hasn't been rolled out all across the platform yet, obviously. And it's only on mobile, so it's not restricted on desktop yet.
Interesting.
Which a lot of people don't realise.
Yeah.
So if you jump on desktop and you want to have a look at all your stats, the likes are still there.
Okay.
Which obviously with platforms, when they scrape the data, it's still available to be scraped as well. But from an influencer's point of view, we started to see that they were, I guess, they were worried that they were going to start to lose their brand partnerships.
Yes.
Because they didn't think the brand could still see the value that they were providing them. And it's so not the case. Like, yes, metrics is a big part of proving the authenticity of an audience and what percentage of that audience is relevant to the brand. But there's so much more about who the person is, what their profile is like off platform. And as we'll jump into, if they're an expert, like if their voice is valued right over the top and well beyond the metrics of that reach. It's very important.
The influencers that are on the platform for Q83, what types of influencers are they?
With loads.
Okay.
Not in quantity, but very, very broad.
Yeah.
So we get some musicians, like
Yep.
from UK musicians from the Vamps.
Yep.
They're on there, through to fashion, lifestyle, beauty, very broad. But some are influencers, and then some are we don't really like the term influencers, honestly.
Oh,
And
why not? I'm dying to know why you say that.
Yeah, I've honestly, have you ever met an influencer that likes being called an influencer? It's very
Well,
interesting.
that's a really good point. I mean, I know our experts don't like to be called influencers, and
No.
it's something that we always kind of toss around in
Yep.
the office because, as far as I'm concerned, having influence is a really positive thing
Yes,
if
absolutely.
it's delivered in the right way
Yep.
and with an appropriate duty of care.
Yeah, very true. We treat them like I treat them sounds weird, but we see them as social publishers.
Totally.
If you look at print, you look at digital. Social publishing is just the next iteration. It's just the natural process, and it's just one person who wears a lot of hats. And if you look at Men's Health Digital, if you went to them and you want to advertise a product to them, they're going to come back with a really robust media kit in the value that they can provide you and what kind of return you're going to get for that investment. But that lack of transparency and professionalism is lacking from influencer marketing or advertising, really, which I think is really interesting. But I think that's why we really want to focus on them being a publishing powerhouse in their own right.
Yeah, I think that there is a power to that. So, and I think some people have embraced that power wholeheartedly and do it in a really positive way.
Yeah.
There are others who, who probably don't in the same way.
Yeah.
And I think when we talk about transparency, it's transparency of data, it's transparency of messaging,
Absolutely.
it's transparency around what people are and aren't qualified
Yeah.
to say
Very true.
as
very
well.
True. Why do you think experts are in such high demand in terms of
Yeah, I think that we are all starting to become a lot more cognizant
Yeah.
of the fact that there is a lot of misinformation out there.
Yeah,
I mean,
very
all you
true.
need to do is look at some of the issues around people like Belle Gibson.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I think it was it's a terrible thing that happened, but actually I think it was a really important wake-up call
Yep.
for a lot of people to take a good, long, hard look at not just social media, but the environment that we live in which, as you say, everyone can be a publisher.
Yep.
And really think through, where am I getting my information from? Why is that person qualified to deliver it? What should I do with it?
Absolutely.
How do I
Definitely.
vet it? And I think that there are enough good experts out there
Yep.
to be sharing the information that we all need to hear.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Even look at the celery juice.
Yes, exactly.
As soon as somebody may not be an expert in the field,
Yep.
puts out their opinion on a diet or something,
Yep.
or a vulnerable audience is going to see it,
Yep.
and they'll run with it.
Totally.
So I think I'm with you, absolutely. I think it's so important that you have experts giving expert advice.
Yeah, and I think that's it. I think that influencers play a really important role, though. So, we certainly don't think that all influencers are bad. I don't think that influencers are a negative group at all.
No.
I think they do an incredible job
Absolutely.
of, as you say, being publishers who create
Yeah.
really engaging,
Yeah.
interesting content.
Yes.
I think that it's about consumers and audiences understanding what they should take from that content and
Very
what
true.
decisions they should make around it.
Yep.
And I actually think that experts can learn a lot from the more traditional influencers because
Yep.
they're actually really good communicators.
Yeah, very true.
They know
Yeah.
how to structure a post, a story. They know how to tell a story really well.
Yeah.
And I think experts who are expert in what they do kind of get caught up in the technical aspects of that.
Yes.
And perhaps start to lose a little bit around, how do I engage my audience in what I'm trying to educate them on? And as a result, some will kind of lose them along the way.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think I remember you've just launched the academy,
Yes.
which is pretty exciting.
Very exciting.
But I remember it would have been when we first started talking about that maybe about a month ago. I
Yeah.
think so. That's been pretty quick.
Yes.
But I guess that kind of leads into this, like where
Yes.
the experts can learn so much from the influencers, and actually building that brand. Tell us about the academy.
So we've been in business for about 6 years now,
Yep.
working with experts. And over those 6 years, we've had quite a lot of experts approach us looking for representation. And we're a boutique agency. We can only take on so many people. But what I recognised is there's actually no one out there who's supporting experts to become really great communicators and who are helping them navigate their way through the media. So you've got somebody who knows their space incredibly well. They probably know it better than anybody else in their space. They have a really unique concept or set of ideas that they want to share with audiences, but they don't know how to do it. So they want to publish a book, but they don't know how to do that. They love the idea of doing a podcast, but they don't know even where to start. And then they don't understand how they use the podcast to book to get the column and how it all works together. So the program, the Academy, is about helping those people to really join the dots and navigate their way through the media landscape so that at the end of it, they can absolutely find the platforms that are going to support them to share their expertise. So that's the idea behind it.
It's pretty exciting, and we're, as Q83, absolutely stoked to be a part of it. So
yes, and we're very stoked to have you a part of it.
It's pretty cool.
Because I think one of the things that's been missing for us as a business is our experts or our influencers, they don't share the huge numbers that a lot of other influencers out there do.
Yeah, exactly.
But they do have the engagement.
Yep.
And so the tool that you guys have created absolutely allows us to demonstrate that not only to partners or clients, but actually to the experts themselves.
Yes.
Can you just kind of take us all through how the platform works and what
absolutely.
information and data is in there?
For sure. So the dynamic media kit that the influencer or the social publisher or the expert or the content creator, whatever you want
all
to
of them, just wrap it all into one.
Whatever they want to call themselves or be called, they can use, if you want to publish branded content on a social channel, Instagram at the moment, YouTube's coming, which is exciting, but another story. You can create the media kit and send it off. What the media kit contains is essentially who you are as a person. You can put in there supporting links about work you've done previously. All the metrics that are in it are essentially what's on the insights of your Instagram app, which is what, if you've been in the game for a little while now doing branded content, is what you've been screenshotting and sending through for a long time, which is quite frustrating from all sides.
Yes, it is.
So, and the cool thing is that's obviously before the brand or the agency is putting $1 down on branding that content and pushing it out to the audience. So we also do reporting in there as well, so which is obviously a really big part of it. With the media kit stats, we look at the reach. We refer to it as true reach, and it's not a crazy algorithm that has AI and machine learning and all this other crap behind it. All it is literally the average reach of that account on the last 100 posts that have been posted, last 100 pieces of content. We look at the reach and we divide it by 100. Pretty simple.
Okay.
And that gives us an expectation of, if we post on this account, these are the expected eyeballs we're going to reach, which is great. So then we can forecast expected ROI based on the engagement as a percentage of the reach. And it's all very clear. So we kind of, as a brand or an agency, you know what you're getting into before you put $1 down, which I think is very important and exists in every other industry. The transparency is just lacking from social until now, because from a brand's point of view, with Osfit torsion bars, we would use influencers all the time. They worked really, really well. Just sometimes we didn't know which one worked and which one didn't. But sometimes it was the smaller guys that worked, and without knowing too much about it, a lot of people would just say it's the engagement rate, it's higher engagement. But really, we see people with 9,000 followers reaching into the 50, 60,000s per post. So, but there's no way to know that until it gets correlated in a way that's easy to read, which is really, really important. So that's essentially in a Q83 Media Kit, which is all very transparent and easy to read on both sides.
And so that's what the influencers themselves and obviously the agencies representing them use.
Yes, yeah.
Are there other elements to it as well?
Yeah. So we've got, I touched on the reporting a little bit.
Yeah.
But I think the real important bit is around the content curation, which is
Yes.
really cool. So what we realized, and this we just kind of stumbled across, when we look at the last 100 pieces of content that have been posted, we pull the reach, the impressions, the saves, the likes, the comments. And in that we can build out, without getting too technical, just a simple ratio, the engagement to the reach. That's it. We completely disregard the follower number from our first interaction with it. It's gone. It's always based off the reach then. And basing our highest performing content, being the reach to engagement ratio, we always look at the top 12 and look at the bottom 12. And it's really interesting, some of the consistencies. especially when the influencer thinks they're in a certain industry, say fashion, and then you're clearly not, because all of your highest performing media are all beauty. And all your lowest performing are all dresses or bikinis or something like that. Obviously, the more skin, the more engagement.
Yeah.
That's in all industries, obviously. But it's quite interesting. We have an influencer on the platform that has been used for a campaign in the UK recently. And it was quite interesting looking at the highest and lowest performing media with them, is because the lowest performing, it was a florist.
Yes.
And the lowest performing was all photos of the studio. They were beautiful photos. And that's what the style of photo that they wanted to use for the campaign. But the highest performing were all flat lays,
Yep.
which they had no idea about. And the engagement and the reach were like three times what the lowest performing was. So it's crazy.
Got to say, like we've been obviously sharing the post-campaign reporting
Oh,
with
yes, yeah.
our clients, who the first thing they say to us is, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
We're
Not
like,
gonna lie, we
"Yes."
get that a lot.
Yeah, I can
Pretty biased
understand.
opinion.
Because it is so detailed and it's
Yes.
really thorough, and it gives them all the information they need, and that's awesome.
Yes.
Interestingly, the work that we've been able to do with our influencers, our experts,
Yep.
to educate them, as you say, about what is their highest performing and what is their lowest performing.
Yes.
And in every single case that we've shown that to them, they're surprised by that.
Definitely, yeah. And I think it's ultimately a lot of I guess weight gets thrown against the algorithm. The algorithm, the almighty algorithm.
Which no one really understands,
No,
right?
does Instagram even understand
Well.
it? Do you? I don't know. I'm not sure. But I think it's there for a reason. And if we look at the bones of it, it's there so posted content doesn't go out into the feed and clog everything up that isn't engaged and isn't wanted. Nobody wants to see it. So it's obviously looking at engagement. So if it's engaged with early on, it'll get posted to more people or reach more people. And then if it increases even more, it goes to the explore feed and even more people see it that don't necessarily follow you. So it's all about understanding what works in the account and curating to that specific audience. Even some agencies that we work with in the UK had no idea about curating content for the brand in line with the guidelines. Look at the campaign and then look at the audience you're going to put in front of. And everybody stuffed up that last minute. And we did as well with OzFit in the early days as well, until we had Q83 and the influencers we used were on Q83, because we were using video format in front of an audience that only engaged with photos.
Yeah, right.
Same content, different format. And the reach was crazy. From a video we did back early this year, 12,000 reach, to a photo doing the same thing, to 380,000 reach.
Yeah,
It's crazy. All organic. So no need to boost, because we know how to do our job. It's awesome.
Yeah, it's the thing that I've found as well is it's incredibly easy to use. So I am many things, but technologically savvy is not one of them. And just using the platform, it's literally a click of a button. Here's the report. We send it to a client. It's very clear, easy for them to see.
Yeah.
And it also allows us to just kind of capture that post-campaign reporting really easily as well, which is awesome.
Oh, nice.
What do you think is next for Q83?
Well, I'm back off to the UK on Tuesday, which is really exciting. So we're setting up our office over there, which is great, given we're only a year old. We have some amazing clients over there, and so we'll set that up. And then in the next 2 weeks, we're actually launching our new media kits. So they've been around for a little bit. We're going to launch even more, and that's really exciting, because that actually allows you to embed videos into the media kit, embed different images, have a tile layout however you want. And you can
That's
name
really
them.
cool.
It's pretty awesome, actually. And then you can really tell your story how you want it to be told. At the end of the day, they're creatives. So you need to be creative and have the options to create a media kit that best represents who you are, which I think is really important. And then, we'll bring on YouTube, which is really exciting. It's about 50% done at the moment. We just have to make it look pretty, which is good. And then, we'll go into all the other platforms. Really, we've got about 6 to 7 lined up for other platforms that we'll bring on.
Yep.
And that's it.
That's it, he
Yeah,
says.
pretty
Like,
much.
we're just going to conquer the world in the next 6 months, no problem.
I wish. No, definitely not. I think it's we're actually just start to market it, really. We haven't done any marketing to date. So I think it's just really important that we really make it clear that we're there for the creator. We're there for the social publisher, for the influencer, to back them and allow them to professionalize their industry.
That's such a good point, that professionalising the industry, because I think that I think that the whole social media influencer space gets a pretty bad rap.
Absolutely.
And
Look
there
at
are,
the PR of the last 12 months.
well, that's right.
Terrible. Yeah.
But actually, there are a lot of really savvy, smart, high-performing professionals
Yeah.
who are working in the space, who are doing all the things they should,
Absolutely.
who are ticking the boxes, and who are really playing a part in educating people.
Yes.
And they are the ones that should be supported and applauded, and tools like this allow them to do that.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think it's up to people like you and I and the rest of the industry to do what we can to make that easier for them.
Yes. Yeah.
In whatever small
Totally
part
agree.
we can.
Yeah, exactly. And I think it's really important that, especially for us, that we just remain independent. We're not an
Yeah.
agency. We're not a talent agency. We don't do media buy. We don't do anything like that. We create a tool that the influencer can share their value.
That's really interesting, actually, because I think that there are a lot of tools out there that share information like this for influencers, but they're not independent. Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of tools that you see, or generally the platforms,
Yeah.
we try to steer clear of the word platform.
Okay.
It's a bit of a dirty word in the UK.
Right, okay.
A lot of bad experiences have been
Good
had.
to know.
So we kind of steer clear of that. So, but yeah, a lot of platforms overseas, they are essentially agencies, but they
Okay.
just create efficiency through using technology, and they push the campaign through their technology, and they clip the ticket on the way out as well.
Okay.
So we obviously don't do anything like that, which is really important. And another thing that we really, really push, not so much because it does get quite technical, but where the data comes from. I think educating them on where the data comes from, where it's sourced, is so important. Everyone knows about the Cambridge Analytica last year. It was huge. Everybody who was using source data, so directly from the API, whether it's Facebook, Instagram, Facebook essentially said no because they were in some hot water. They had to reassess who had access to their user data and reevaluate who they were going to give access to, and those people who they're going to give access to, those third parties, what their intentions were for the data, who they were as a business. So luckily not luckily, it was a lot of hard work, honestly.
Sure.
It wasn't luck. We went through that 8-week kind of verification process, put forward business case, did a lot of work for it, and we were granted API access. I know of a couple of other companies in the world that have it, but I can only find another two.
Right.
That's it. So I think it's really important that the data that is representing talent, managed or unmanaged, is accurate. It's got to be accurate. I think a lot of companies that did get kicked off the API last year, metrics are such a big part of this industry now, especially around fraud, all those kind of things, proving value, reporting. It's without the metrics, there's a key element of their business that doesn't exist, and a lot of people obviously go somewhere else now. So they resort to less ethical ways to gather the information. It's not always accurate, which is not that good.
and
honestly,
and
but
it doesn't do anything for the industry.
no. And one thing, it's with the talent, essentially, it's their data. This is our data. We just facilitate the transfer of their data to whoever they want to share it with. I think that's really important. And a lot of them, when we speak to celeb-style influencers that are onboarding into Q83, it is an opt-in platform, so everything remains GDPR compliant. Time and delete all their data. But I think it's really interesting when I ask them to Google themselves on other platforms. There's about 700 out there. The look on their face, like, what do you mean? I'm like, you're represented falsely on other platforms. And you start Googling their names on other platforms or their handles, and there's some interesting data out there.
It's pretty frightening, actually.
Definitely, especially if brands are paying a premium or any money really to use another platform and the data's not correct.
Yeah.
So they're losing gigs and they didn't even know they were in the line for them, which is interesting.
It is.
Not good.
Not good. I'm just going to check if we've got any questions.
Yeah.
We got any questions coming through? Okay. So, Anthony, just quickly, because I know there are going to be people who are listening,
Yes.
who want to know, okay, so if I want to look more closely at Q83, what do I do?
Yeah, definitely.
What do they do?
Easy. Just go q83.com.
Yep.
So q-83.com.
Yep.
And have a look. There's a free 30-day trial. You can test it out. If you don't like it, awesome. If you do,
Yep.
keep using it.
Awesome.
That's it.
Awesome.
Exactly.
I know it's something we're going to be using with all of the people that we're bringing into the academy,
Yes.
just because I think it's a really nice way to show them how to understand their own social media. I know a lot of experts that we've worked with in the past or that we've spoken to, they just stay completely away from social media because it's just too scary.
Yes.
And I think what I say to them is it doesn't need to be scary.
Yeah.
You just need to understand the bounds of what you can and should be saying. You need to
Absolutely.
understand who you're talking to. You need to understand the responsibility and duty of care that comes with that. And then you need to measure that. You
Yeah.
need to see what works.
Exactly.
And obviously, you know, the reporting that you guys do is certainly something that can support on that too.
Yes. Yeah. It's pretty good. I'm excited for the academy. I can't wait to kind of get in there because it is scary stuff when you look at diving into building a brand and professionalizing how you do that to the world. At the end of the day, like it's big.
Yeah, I know you've had a big year with kind of all the introductions, but I think that
Yeah.
there's something to be said for trying to do something new.
Yes. Yeah.
You know, if you put that kind of entrepreneurial hat on, you put yourself out there for everyone to
Yeah. Absolutely.
see and
Yeah. Yeah.
not tear down, because I think people are pretty supportive, but it can be a pretty scary thing to do.
Totally agree.
So
Definitely.
thank you for the support.
That's all right. Always.
Hopefully it will all it'll all work out, and
Yeah.
you know, it'll produce some amazing results for the people that are involved as well.
I think it will. It'll be cool.
Awesome.
Sweet.
Thanks so much.
Ah,
See you later. Thanks
yeah.
everybody for their time.
See you guys.
Bye.